Hello and welcome back to the Nerd Cave, where today we're going to be doing something we've never done before. We've never actually looked at this set of figures before, and there were 3 made, I believe, in this line. And if you've been watching everything, and if you've been looking at the titles of the video, then you will know that we are going to be having a look today at this guy. Yep, it's Lion-O. We've never looked at Thundercats before. We've never ever done anything about Thundercats here on the Nerd Cave, either on the old channel or this new channel. So I thought, let's redress that balance. Let's have a look at something a little bit different, and let's do Lion-O. Now, if nobody knows who this guy is, and I'm sure that there's lots of you out there who don't, this is Lion-O. Okay? He's the Lord of the Thundercats. Now, Thundercats was a show that aired from 1985 to, I believe, 1987-88. Although in Britain, in the UK, we only got it for 1 year. I think it was in 1986 or 87, I forget which. But, yeah, we only ever got the first season. There were 3 seasons in all in America. And it's a funny old story, is Thundercats, because the cartoon was made before the toys were even thought of. It was the popularity of the cartoon that made the toys a thing. So yeah, it was, I think it was Fred Wolf Productions. Dick Wolf's the guy who does Law and Order. Fred Wolf Productions, and it was headed up mainly by Jimmy Murakami, who also directed the film Battle Beyond the Stars in the early 80s. But yes, the most famous thing he'd done was Thundercats. He was heavily involved with that, and Turtles, I believe, as well, with Jimmy Murakami. But yes, Thundercats, it's a mishmash of about 3 or 4 different sort of storylines of other franchises. Star Wars is in there, you got a bit of Star Trek, got a bit of Conan in there, you got a lot of sort of Dungeons and Dragons-y type stuff as well, and a hell of a lot of world building. Thundercats as a cartoon is very slow burning, so if you're a fan of stories being told straight away, then Thundercats probably isn't for you, because Thundercats has a very clear mandate for itself from the start, which is tell this story and tell it kind of slowly, part by part, until you have a whole picture by the end of the season exactly what happens. But the starting point is that the planet of Thundera is breaking apart due to an ongoing war with the mutants. So the Thundercats who live there decide that they have to leave, and they have to find a new planet to live on. Only a select few do actually get to leave. You've got Jaga, the old guy. You've got Tigra, who's like an older brother of Lion-O. You've got Panthro, who is the martial arts guy who kicks everybody's ass. You've got Chitara, who's the quick lady. And you've got Wily Kit and Wily Cat, who are the kids. And you've also got one more child in the shape of Lion-O, who at the time is about 13, 14 years old. They flee the planet in their spaceship and have to pilot the ship, avoiding the mutants. Jaga realises that without him steering the ship, then the ship will fly into a sun, or it will, you know, cause catastrophe. So he decides to not go in suspension capsules like the rest of them, and therefore dies of old age during the journey. The rest of them are in suspension capsules, except that Lion-O's has a malfunction, and he comes out of it not being a 14-year-old boy, but being the strapping young 20-year-old man that you see before you. So yeah, that's the basic story. They land on a place called Third Earth, which is heavily implied to be Earth in the far future, and encounter many enemies along the way who live on that planet, as long as make many allies. But the main enemy that they find is in the shape of Mumm-Ra, who is an ever-living sorcerer who works for some very dodgy gods, who basically want to take over the universe, beginning with the planet of Third Earth. The Thundercats are, number 1, a hindrance to this, and number 2, hold the key to possibly ruling the universe in the shape of the Eye of Thundera, which is a crystal or a gem that's encased in the sword of Thundera that Lion-O wields. So Mumm-Ra needs this to be able to rule and control the universe, and especially Third Earth. and therefore that's why he wants the Thundercats gone, and he wants the Sword of Thundera in his possession so he can rule the universe. Shades of He-Man in there as well, obviously. It's a great cartoon. It's a brilliant cartoon. Like I say, it's very slow burning, so if you want your stories to be short and simple, probably not for you, but I can't recommend it enough. The animation still holds up. It's very 80s is the whole concept, but it's very good. The voice acting's great as well. Larry Kenny, friend to the Back to the 80s podcast, he's been on a couple of times. He is the voice of Lion-O, and yes, brilliant voice acting all along. It's very stylized in the form of a hero, and they all talk very heroically. And it's totally intentional. It's not bad voice acting. It's intentional that they were meant to talk like this. So, yeah, check it out. It's a great cartoon. I love it to bits. Not really... It hasn't been capitalised upon the way that some 80s properties have, such as Transformers. It's kind of like He-Man in that respect. It hasn't really been rebooted to any sort of loud fanfare. They did do a reboot a few years back, but it was sort of buried by Cartoon Network. They didn't really want to actively pursue it. They didn't actively want to go for it, and it sort of died in the scheduling, which is a shame because it was a good cartoon, but never mind. So on to the figure. Let's have a look at Lion-O. So what do you get when you get Lion-O? Well, number one, you get this sword of Thundera and hand, disembodied hand, which is basically, it's obviously a sword holding hand. You also get his claw shield with Sword of Thundera holstered in there. It can be removed. So that's his little Sword of Thundera. We'll come back to that in but a moment. But like I say, that can be holstered very nicely. You also get this little thing here as well, which we'll show you in a moment. And you get Lion-O himself. He's very impressive. I do like him a lot. Bandai made these to coincide with the release of the new cartoon about 5 or 6 years ago now, back in 2010 I think it was, 2010, early 2011, and yeah, they made 3 classics, him, Tigra, who I've also got, and Mumm-Ra, who sadly I don't have. I got this guy from Roll Call last year at a very reasonable price, so I was very happy with that, because I've had Tigra for quite a while now, and he's very, very good, but Lion-O I really wanted as well. So yeah, let's have a look at the figure itself. So it's very nicely detailed, is this thing. It's really nicely done, and in lovely proportion as well. Need to try and get him all in shot if I can. But there you go, there. So there's him pretty much all in shot. So you can definitely see, you know, exactly the proportions of this guy and exactly how he looks. He's a very nice, very good looking figure. Like I say, and very, very nicely detailed. He's got his vest that he would normally have on, and his belt. His belt's actually kind of movable a little bit. It doesn't come off, but it does move. It does have a bit of give in it, so you can do nice ab crunches and move the body out a bit. He's got basically lots and lots of nice articulation, more so even than the He-Man Classics figures, which again are very, very nice. The detailing on his face and his mane, very nice indeed. He's got that sort of goatee weird effect that they all had going on there, and he's got very nice eyes. They're very well done, and he's got the eyebrow effect like he had in the cartoon as well, and a shock of red mane hair. It's very nice. It does go 360, although why you'd want to I do not know, and he's got a nice range of motion for his head as well. The arms do go around and round and out to the side as well, and he does have a bicep turn, and he's got a nice elbow turn, and his hands, they're on ball joints effectively, so they can sort of move everywhere you want him to, which is nice. Like I said, he does have an ab crunch, very nice ab crunch, very, very, very well articulated, and his waist goes round as well, so there's not much he can't do. His legs as well, very well articulated. You can go all the way around on his leg there, and that can go out to the side and front and back. He's got nice double jointed knees, which is lovely. His boot does go round and round as well, and he's got ankle rockers. Nice ankle rockers there. So he's got a full range of motion for himself, which is very, very nice. So he can do all kinds of lovely, lovely poses. Now, his claw shield does come fitted with a little blue thing there. Now, this little blue thing there goes into, I'll show you, this little hole here. So you pop that on. It's a bit fiddly, is this, when you've got big fat hands, like what I have. But it does go in there, like so. Oops, or it did. Have a look, there we go. This is a drawback. This really needs to be fixed on, but it isn't. There you go. There we are. So it can fit there for himself for easy access. And if I put my thumb on there and put that, there you go. So it does holster very much like it did in the cartoon on his side there, which is nice. And like I say, you can take the Sword of Thundera out, so we can hold it like you would have done in the cartoon. Oh, this is a bit of a douche. So we can hold it in his hand. That hand isn't really meant for it. So what you need to do, I make him right-handed, but you take his hand off, comes off really nice and easily. And this again, this is another drawback, because these hands do not clip on very nicely. These hands clip on like a bloody douchebag. So they don't clip on very nicely, and you will see the trouble I'll have. Oh, you won't. It went on very nicely that time. But usually it takes quite a while to put these things on. They are a bit fiddly and they're not very clicky, by which I mean there's not an audible click usually when it actually goes in, which is kind of annoying. But you get used to it, I suppose. It's not, you know, it's a very definition of a first world problem at the end of the day. But you have two eyes of Thundera. Now this is a bit I like, because this little sword, the dormant Sword of Thundera, has the eye, has it on both sides, and it has a smaller hilt, and obviously the sword itself is smaller. Okay, that pretty much stays the same. But here we are with, this is the extended, shall we say, Sword of Thundera. So you've got the Thundercat symbol on the sword there. You've got the bigger hilt. You've got a more ornate, you've got a bigger guard there, and a more ornate hilt. And obviously the sword is much bigger and longer. But he can still hold it in the same way. So there you go. Sword of Omens, give me sight beyond sight. So you can do that. Do the sight beyond sight stuff. But of course when he says thunder, thunder, Thundercats, ho! Then the sword transforms and becomes much, much bigger and harder to get in his hand. There we go. There he has a much bigger sword. So you can hold it up and go ho! Or he can do the full, if I can get him to do it, sight beyond sight business. Sword of Omens, give me sight beyond sight, Sword of Thundera. Sword of Omens, should I say. So he's doing the old sight beyond sight hilt thing, where he can see other places and other things and have visions of the future, that kind of thing, with the Eye of Thundera. It's great. I do like the fact that he does get the two swords. I think that is a really clever and nice touch. I do like the fact that he can hold it in his hand and do all the things that he would have done in the show. It's very nice, and it looks bloody massive when you do that. Bloody big massive. The other thing he can do is hold his claw shield. And I can get his hand off. There you go. So his hand comes off, and then you pull the claw shield out of its thing. You see he's got another little ball jointy thing there, which fits in there, like so. And then basically all the claw shield does is go on his hand, and that does actually fit on really easily and snugly because it's such a massive thing. And then you've got basically completed Lion-O. You've got his final form, as it were. Really, really nice. The claw shield looks great on him. It really does look nice. It's very nice and shiny. It's lovely and golden. It's a thing of beauty to have it on, basically. And he looks great with it as well, with the Sword of Omens held in hand as well. It's such a nice figure to have, and it looks so, so cool. I can't recommend this thing enough if you can pick one up. There's little point if you know, if you're not a massive Thundercats fan, little point in picking him up at this point. And if you're a Masters of the Universe Classics fan, chances are you'll be getting one of the new versions anyway, because Mattel are actually they've got the Thundercats license now, and they will be doing at least Lion-O in the Masters of the Universe Classics line as a figure, which will be nice. More on that, I'm sure, in the future with Mattel. Also, they said they may be doing other figures, which is hopeful, fingers crossed, but we shall see. But that is Thundercats, the Bandai version. Very, very nice figure. Please do, again, pick it up if you can, because it is definitely worth it. I shall be back in a little while with another video. I don't know what it's going to be about. It will be a surprise. But until then, bye-bye for now. Take care of yourselves and each other.